Hello everyone, Skoggle here again, bringing you another game with our FOE Training Grounds bot lane series. We're going to do Nautilus as a support. So here, I'm going to take you right into the game, and we're going to have I Shall Not Rage on Nautilus. And for now, I'm just going to say the names of the player we're doing, just to kind of highlight them, give them a shout out. Right there, you see that Tarek dropped a ward. So ping your team, whatever it takes. Let them know you got a ward dropped. And Nautilus is running 60 armor at level 1. And he starts cloth, and that's a big part of that. He also doesn't run the full GP10s and quints and masteries. So that's another part of it. He gets some armor that way. So we're going to check out Tarek's build. Tarek has a typical 62 attack damage, 350 movement speed because you don't start boots very often on support, 34 armor, 43 magic resist. He's running a fairly standard yellow armors, blue magic resist, gold per 10 quints. And it doesn't look like he has additional red armor, so he's probably running red magic pen or something along those lines. And we're going to look at Corki. Corki's running Flash Ignite. Corki has 70 AD, and he has a base of 55, I believe, so he's running 15 or AD quints, AD marks. He's got 42 magic resist. I believe that means he's running flat, not scaling MRs, and he's got the flat armors because he has 34 armor. So let's get on with our game. And we're going to see what Nautilus brings to the table. Nautilus is a CC machine. He is not a healer or a support lane or a sustain lane. He doesn't bring you that damage mitigation. He doesn't shield you. But what he does do is he's kind of a meat shield. He can stand in front. He can take a lot of punishment. 60 AD or armor against an AD at level 1 means it doesn't really hurt when Corki shoots him. And if he lands his hooks, he can really do a lot of hurting because your hook pulls him in, your hook knocks him up. You can then go ahead and auto attack him, and your auto attack does bonus damage for the first hit in 12 seconds, and it snares them. So that's going to be important to note is some of these ganks he can set up. I think it's more potent than the Tarek's done, but he doesn't bring a heal. But he's going to run very aggressive, and he's going to count on assists or even kills to get his gold. So I'll speed it up because we don't really need to sit here all day watching him stand in a bush. That bush control is a great way to get out there and try to set up kills. Ezreal's just pushing the lane, trying to make Corki have the last hit near the tower, make his life difficult, harass as much as he can, stay ahead in levels. Those are all the things you get out of it, and when it gets to the tower, tower's gonna do damage, and it's gonna reset the lane. You've got the 2 wards out right now. You're fairly safe to pull this off. The cloth 2 ward start is viable. You can do it when you're really looking to take a lot of damage and have a lot of trades early. And if you go that way, tell your AD carry to play aggressive because you can win those trades. So this aggression, this push to the tower, this repush to the tower, very good idea. Nocturne's right there. You see him. You see him because Mundo was trying to take his red buff. And it's just important to remember that Nocturne's there. You always want to keep track of the jungler as a support. You want to keep track of everything you can. If mid's missing, don't wait for an MIA. As a support, warn your AD carry if you think he's coming. And here it comes into effect. There's the snare from his passive. That's all that was. That stopped Corki from getting away and making them take a tower hit and dying for that exchange. So that is what Nautilus brings. High kill potential. He's going to go for Nocturne. He just doesn't land the Q. Real close. No big deal. They're going to back out while the lane's push. Nocturne's going to take some of that CS and some of that XP because the bottom lane was dead and they couldn't do anything about it. They were going to lose it if Nocturne doesn't take it. So we'll hurry back out to lane, and he picks up another ward so he can get it by the dragon. I believe that's where he goes. But if you have to choose between he goes to the Tribrush. If you have to choose between Tribrush and Dragon, not like Nocturne, he's a little behind. He's not in position to take the Dragon, but the Dragon's a better ward right now. The Dragon is going to give you the ward coverage from the river. It's going to give you the ward coverage from, I'm going to go ahead and take away blue side's vision, but it just takes away all that wardage. So we see Nocturne's mid, so you're a little safe to repush this lane. You're going to want to have Ezreal put the pressure back on, as long as we can keep tabs. Ryze is following, so maybe Ahri's coming. They're not doing raids. He's just clearing out and taking raids himself. So at the moment, Ezreal's stronger. You're winning those trades. You're able to really help out, as you have a ton of armor if you're Nautilus. You have a ton of tankiness and a ton of CC. And Ezreal's skill shot based, and you can basically hold them in place for a minute and make sure he lands his combos. So this lane is a very good lane. I don't know if they know each other and that's why, or if they're just figured it out. The depth charge comes in because he just hits level 6. We'll replay this whole exchange. So what happens is he lands one hook. It's hard to get away from those hooks when they're chasing you. And then he's going to land that slow and the root. So he's going to root Taric, and Taric's fairly tanky himself, but at this point you can put your full burst on him. There's nothing that Taric can do about it because of how much CC not that Nautilus brings to the table. So Nautilus is an awesome support if you want to play a different aggressive support. You don't want to sit back and heal and be Soraka or Sona and just heal, a little bit of harass, maybe silence so that your carry doesn't get bursted. You want to be an initiator, you want to do a lot. Nautilus is a valid option. Just he's going to help in team fights more so than almost anyone. He's a great tank in team fights. In the build he's going for Heart of Gold and getting some defense, some armor out there, some health points out there. And he's going to keep the Dragon warded for the rest of the game. Does a very good job there. So Nocturne ults, where'd he go? He's mid. Let's see where he leaves to. He's smart enough to go back through the lane, so you don't know whether he's going top or bottom. Now we lost sight of him. But he hasn't gone through the river. He's not... Killing Rise didn't give him enough to get Dragon. Sometimes that mid going down will. And I'm going to have to replay that. I was going a little fast. But this is what you offer. You went up there to ward, and you just get the Tri-Brush warded. And you come out from a different angle. You've been camping the brush. They're wary of the brush. So you're going to come in at a great angle, and if you land these hooks with Nautilus, whether you're jungling or support or whatever, you have so much CC to follow up with. You have the snare, you have your slow and your E, and you just make Ezreal land all skill shots because they're not moving. Great combination here. If there's skill shot based carry, even say Urgot, he's going to land his corrosive charge and be able to just land his Qs all day long, just spamming out damage. So here you're able to just stand here, make sure Taric can't even get an XP range, and Taric can't go out there. There's nothing Taric can do right now. Taric's just fully zoned. You need your carry back. You need a gank from jungle. They need something to get this back. And the zoning, even with both of them. So at this point in the game, I'm going to pause it for just a second and look at gold. Where we're at. Because of 4 assists, even with less GP10, you're running 1911 gold on Nautilus, and you're running 1694 on Taric. Whereas Ezreal sitting on 3702, so a decent amount, and 1847 on him. And that means when he goes back to buy, he's going to be able to pick up a BF sword or something else similar, really cool, some really big item. And Corki's sitting on 80 gold, so he just bought, so this is the strongest Corki's going to be for a while, and he only has 2125. I'll unpause the game so we can continue on, close out the gold, and we'll go back to our character. And why they're pinging back, both the mid and the jungler are there. So that's 3v4. That is not a good scenario to be in, even though you're stronger. Corki's sitting on 2 Dorans and Berserker's Greaves. Ezreal's sitting on Vamp Scepter, 2 Dorans, and single boots. About an even trade, other than Corki has a ton of gold and he's just been doing a great job. But you don't want to go... When I tell you to freeze the lane, because I've said that in other videos, you don't want to freeze the lane right now, because Nocturne and even possibly Ahri are there. And it is not a good idea to run out and get yourself killed when you don't have to. So there's Nocturne. We now see Nocturne, and it's now safe. You can push this lane, but if you can keep tabs on Nocturne. Where does he go? Does he stay in the brush? He misses his stuff, and he's running. And Rise and Mundo are chasing Ahri out, if you're paying attention to the mini-map, which you should be as a support, because you're not farming. You're either being aggressive against them, you're protecting your carry, or you are watching that mini-map. Help your team. What can you do? So now they're going to be able to re-push this lane out. Nothing that Taric and Corki can do about it. Corki gets zoned by Ezreal there. And Corki's going to come back in, and he doesn't go around. And when you're significant... Oh, he does go around, but it doesn't matter. He walked right into hook range because he wanted to creep. So when you're trying to land these hooks, and you're in lane... Important to note here, I'm going to go back and show this from the beginning. So when you're trying to get a last hit, the what I'm trying to tell you is this. These blue, see, there's two sets of creeps. Corky's coming for your creeps. He wants to farm. But what does that do? For the moment he sat there and used his ult to farm, Nautilus can land a hook because he knows where he's going to be. He can't just turn and dodge it. You can't sidestep it while you're using that move. And so that allows the hook to happen. And here Nautilus is just so tanky. 83 armor Nautilus, he's going right through this tower. He doesn't care. Your 80 carry is now super safe to dive because, you know what? You can tank that tower for him. So, took a lot of damage, but it didn't. You were in no danger of dying. They would have needed a lot more there than Taric for you to die to that tower. If you are Nautilus with 83 armor at this point of the game. So, Ezreal's going back to buy. He's got to have a lot of gold on him. Yeah, 2,600. And Nautilus is going to not notice where Nocturne is. The sad part about this is, there he is. Check your mini-map. We're going to go back. I'll speed it up to the exact moment. There's a ward there. Where's Nautilus? He's in the mid. Where's Nautilus? Nautilus is right there. There's Nautilus. Or Nocturne, excuse me. There's Nocturne. And Nautilus is at low life. Even though he's an AD, it's low life. And you have to know what Nocturne does. If you don't know what Nocturne does, you haven't faced one in the jungle. He's scary. He jumps enormous distances. Even doing everything he can to escape, he uses a heal. He's gonna immobilize him by the tower with the little life left and make him take a bunch of tower shots. It doesn't matter. He's dead. 1 for 0 exchange just by staying super extended without your AD carry. With your AD carry there, not so scary. You would have probably been fine. Just an unfortunate thing that happened. So we'll focus on Ezreal for a second. But Nautilus plays a really good game here. That was just one thing that happened. It happens. There's not much you can do. Just go ahead and play your game. And we will speed Nautilus back out. Nautilus goes out, wards Dragon. Dragon's unwarded, always your job to get that back into a good warding position. You want to make sure your AD carry's safe, you want to make sure that Dragon can't just be taken for free, you want it to be contested, and wards will help you keep Dragon contested. So don't ever forget to do that as a priority. And here, Nautilus can just walk out and zone them because the tower is about to go down. So that's the end of this laning phase, and before I go, I just wanted to look at what happened. We have 5 assists and 1 death. Only 9 minions. Your support, you're not supposed to farm more than that. So 27.58 gold for Nautilus when that tower goes down at the end of the laning phase. 22.27 for Taric. So Taric, even though he didn't have any assists or any kills, just has more gold per 10 items, more gold per 10 quints. I think that's where it was, and it was armor for Nautilus, and that gives him 22.27. He's not that far behind Nautilus for the laning phase. Corky, however, is denied to 67 CS at 28.81 gold. And no kills or assists. Ezreal, 5 kills. Most of that was because of Nautilus' CC. Just, he brings such a good CC package. And 1 assist. And 98 CS for 5,061 gold. He is quite a bit ahead. You're looking on items. He has the extra BF sword. He's ready to move up and get more items. Anyhow, thank you for listening and watching another of our videos from FOE and Training Grounds. We wish you luck in your future games, and we will see you soon. This is Skoggle, and I'm doing the review to the last Nautilus game we just saw. By the way, just before I start, I love the pick of Nautilus' support. It's not stale, it's not typical. The usual aggressive kill lane supports are Blitzcrank, Leona, Taric, and this was another idea of an aggressive support. I've seen some cool ones like Yorick that just zones all day. Anyhow, we'll get into the review. 1. Enemy wards. When you see the enemy drop a ward and you know where it's at, let your jungler know. Maybe he can come in a different path to gank. Maybe he can do a lane gank. Maybe they can just avoid that area so they don't get seen and caught out of position, depending on where that ward is. So that is why I wanted to make a point of that. When Taric dropped that ward right on top of Nautilus, you need to let your team know, hey, there's a ward here, or put a timer on it. Hey, in 3 minutes, this ward is gone. We might be able to gank if we time that, and your jungler can hang out right before that ward's about to expire and either catch him replacing a ward or catch them out of position. 2, we have opponent stats. And opponent stats are a great idea if you want to get into a game and you want to know what your opponent is running, masteries and runes, etc. Go ahead and get into your opponent's stats. You want to look at them and what's unusual. What's his base stats? Was he running AD? Is he not running AD? Is he hurting you and not running AD? He's probably running armor pen. You can learn a lot by just clicking on him, seeing what those stats are. You could see if he has extra armor, and maybe you need more armor pen than you usually run. You can see if the support's running AP or AD instead of gold per 10. Just an important thing to check. Everyone's should be in the habit of checking their items. Did they start Boots 3? Did they do Cloth 5? Did they do Doran's Blade? Or something different, their own unique style. Just look at what items they have so you can think about trades. Am I stronger? When am I stronger? Is he going to fall off by decisions he made? And what did he take in Runes and Masteries? You can figure out a lot just by knowing base stats. 3. Pushing the lane. And that, again, is the emphasis of when you want to stay ahead in XP and level up first so that you can always initiate trades at a higher level. If you're killing the creeps faster than them, you're getting XP at a faster rate than them. And when you push the lane and you want to push it out to the tower, you have to know when you can do it. You have to know I'm stronger. Nautilus running Cloth isn't the typical Fairy Charm, a bunch of pots start. He's saying, I'm going to build tanky, and if you go the Cloth route, and I believe that is valid on some of the supports out there, your goal is to make these trades happen. You want to make trades, you want to go make this, you want to make plays, and you can make those plays bottom just like Nautilus did. I mean, a 5-kill lane and you didn't get that many jungle ganks is awesome. 6 with the assist from the one time the jungler did come in and get a kill. And so what you want to do is look and take advantage of what you can do. If you can build a certain item and win trades and then get aggressive and push the lane, you could either deny them CS, or every time they come out from their tower you can punish them. Or keep them zoned out of XP range, and then they can't even stop you from diving if you get far enough ahead. And that leads right into 4, kind of the same subject. 4 is know when you can trade. You have to know, okay, do they have their summoners up? That's important to note. Do you have your summoners up? Do I have do we, since we're doing bottom lane, do we together, AD carry and support, have better items than they have as their AD carry and support? Are we safe from a jungle gank while we're trading? You don't want to be aggressive trading, using all your moves to get in, and all of a sudden be like, oh crap, Nocturne is right there, I can't get away. So know when you can trade. That's map awareness, and that's awareness of champions, items, levels, etc. That is what comes into your head when you're trading. How have the trades been going? Are you winning them? Then keep doing them until you're not winning them. 5. War Dragon most of the time. And by this, if you ward that dragon, you stop that blue ramp, you stop movement through the river, you stop them from sneaking a dragon in. When that Tri-Brush was warded, they might have been safer from being super aggressive and ganking if they were to come, because they were pushing out to the tower, if they were to come right through that Tri-Brush. But had they come through the river, they wouldn't have been seen and they would have been behind them. You're safe for not warding that Tri-Brush in this scenario because if they come to the Tri-Brush and come at you from that angle, they're kind of coming from your face. You have some time to get away. But when they come behind you and get behind you through the river, it's always safer. It's always better if you have one warden or make a decision to go behind you, and that's usually the dragon. And if you're blue side, it can sometimes be that Tri-Brush, and that's when you might want to do that. But losing that ward on dragon can lose control of a key part of the early laning phase. Why you have AD carry and support bottom and not top is typically because dragon's down there. If you had 2 people up top and they base to buy and then run to dragon, that's going to be 5 on 3 instead of the 4 on 3 you can do with your top doing that. It's just, or 5 on 4 even, it's just a good idea to keep that dragon control up. That is why I would keep that warded as a priority when you are a support. Lane synergy is 6, and lane synergy, and it happened, I don't know if it was a pre-made decision, a decision they talked about in champion select, or if it just happened. They take lane synergy. Lane synergy in this case was Nautilus. Nautilus synergizes super well as a support when they have to land skill shots. You have more than just Ezreal, but Ezreal is like all skill shots. But then you have like, you run a Nautilus, Urgot is the name I'm going for, sorry about that pause. Nautilus Urgot lane. Urgot lands that, his corrosive charge, that AoE, and he can just hit those those missiles all day. He can't miss them. And you can get that so easily if you wait for Nautilus to hook. If you wait for Nautilus just to run up an auto attack freezes them in place, making it so you can't miss your canister. You're gonna do a lot of damage that way in that combo. And then you can follow it up with more CC because Nautilus is just a CC monster. And there's other ways to do this. I was just trying to comment on Nautilus specifically and his lane synergy, but that's not the only champions that synergize. Soraka synergizes very well with, say, Graves, who can now do his combo all day because he can be fed mana back and he can be fed HP if he takes some damage in those trades. But a AD carry that needs to land skill shots to be effective is just very, very efficient with the Nautilus. 7. Aggressive supports. Aggressive supports are typically Blitzcrank, Taric, Leona. Those are the 3 notified ones. In this case, we saw another one. Nautilus can be a very aggressive support. You don't necessarily rush the GP10s, you rush more damage or faster speed so that you can get in position to make those plays. Aggressive supports, you're going for kills and assists. You are not going for a GP10 long farm fest. You're going to make plays, and hopefully you can have your jungler in position, make a play, get dragon, and get more gold that way. That's the ideal scenario of going aggressive support. Let's get some kills, let's get dragon control. But there's other ones out there. Yorick, for instance, he can harass like no one else. He can 1v2 that lane, let alone when he has an AD carry with him. You put Yorick support, and you can do a lot that they're not expecting you to do, and just harass, just keep them low. They can't come out to the lane. You could freeze the lane, slow it down instead of push the tower, and just keep them zoned with the Yorick. I've been able to do that a few times. I'm learning it right now as we speak. I'm doing this Yorick support where I'm trying to keep them so zoned that my AD carry can just slowly farm, and they have to take ghoul damage to even come back and contest it. 8. Bad times to freeze the lane. It's always nice to freeze that lane from hitting your tower or to deny them creeps, to slow it down and say, hey, you can't come over here, I'll jump on you. Bad times to freeze the lane. You cannot freeze the lane from hitting your tower if they can jump on you and fight you. If you can't take them 2v2 or 1v1 if you're top or mid, you can't freeze the lane because you're taking extra creep damage. In the case in this game, it was the fact that Ahri was unaccounted for and had just been bottom, and the jungler was right there. If you freeze the lane, you're taking all that creep damage, and you could get 4v2'd away from your tower, and if they land that charm from Ahri, or Nocturne gets a fear tether down, you could be in a lot of trouble real quick, and that is why they did a good thing by letting the creep wave hit the tower instead of stopping it and tanking the creep wave. And so that's when you have to make a judgment call. Usually you want to freeze that lane. If it's safe to freeze the lane, why lose CS to the tower? But if they're stronger than you and you're not winning the lane, you cannot freeze the lane. You can also not freeze the lane when it's going to be a 3v2 situation. You need that tower support. Anyhow, that is the end of the review. I hope you learned something today. I did. And I look forward to seeing you all again. Have a great day.